Hello and welcome back to another episode of Becoming Relentless. This is your favorite fitness podcast, and I am your host, Noa McCabe. I'm an IFBB Bikini Pro and an online fitness coach, and I am joined today by a very special co-host. She will be here for a series of podcasts, so get your guys' notebooks out, turn your brains on, be ready to absorb all of this information because she has so much value and I'm very excited to have her here. Please welcome Lexa Rukstela.
Hello.
I wish there was like a little sound machine.
Yeah, we had like a little button, like yay!
The crowd goes wild.
No, I'm so excited because I feel like we always have like really cool conversations and it's just really fun to like bounce off of each other because I feel like we vibe in a lot of ways. We also like have our own points that are like a little bit unique. So that's like really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's super exciting. And like, I think we are going to have a great series of podcasts. I also just want to thank you for being here because I know that it was out of your way. It's not like this is in your backyard. She flew all the way out to Austin to spend this time with us. So I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And I agree with you. I do think that our journeys, like our experiences within fitness have been very parallel and at the same time very different. Like we've had same experiences and different experiences. And so I think bringing that value to this podcast is going to be fun. And I'm just happy that you're here.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So today we are going to talk a little bit about finding your unique voice as an athlete. And when you brought this topic up, I was like, yes, this is amazing. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, where did the inspiration for this come from? What have you been seeing? What sparked this topic?
I love that. Yeah. I will kind of like identify as like a little black sheep in the in the fitness space because I feel like I talk about some things in a way that is a little bit more unconventional to like the mainstream piece. And when I first started doing this, like I know it wasn't like super well received with people. And like as I've kind of like talked to people about it a little bit more, I noticed that people are becoming a little bit more open-minded about like how you can do fitness. And it doesn't have to be like the perfect way all of the time. It's not like you're going to just like find this magic formula that's going to work. It's like, okay, maybe this works for like the first part of your fitness journey. And then along the way, you start evolving and changing things. And like, if it doesn't look like what you're doing or what I'm doing, that like that's still your path and that still can like reap amazing benefits for you. So just like being comfortable with like breaking the mold of what everyone else is doing and just like going for it for yourself.
How do you encourage your athletes to do that within themselves, to be that unique athlete?
Ooh, I feel like it's actually challenging to like teach someone teach someone is like a weird way of saying that. But I feel like giving someone the freedom to be like, okay, like I'm seeing this, like, what are you feeling? Or like, what are you seeing? Or like, how does this feel in your body? And being really open to whatever the answer is. Like if it's like, oh, like I'm doing this like RDL or something and it feels like all back, but it looks perfect on paper, then like that's probably not perfect for them. So like how do you want to move? Just like encouraging them to take that step outside of like my coaching knowledge. Because it's like, I'm the one that knows all of these things. So like, you better do what I say.
Right. I love that you brought that up because I do feel like that is so prevalent in training that we both get training videos from our athletes. And sometimes the form doesn't look right, but they say that they feel it. Like the connection was there. They're like, the glute pump was there. And I'm like, you know what? If that is how your body is moving and feeling it in this moment and today, then that's fine. Like just because the form wasn't textbook perfect. But I had like such a hard time with that at first. Did you feel like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also noticed like with the training videos, like when I first started coaching, I just wanted to teach everyone all the things that I learned in like my N1 courses and things like that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is how I learned how to do it. Like nobody else knows this stuff. It's so cool. And then as I've like evolved, it's like, oh, it's N1 for a reason. It's like, it's not like this is the N1 to teach everyone how to do an RDL. It's like, oh, like this is like maybe like how the biomechanics work on paper and like now go execute it for yourself.
And try
so
it out. Yeah.
It's letting the athlete actually like have the autonomy to be like, this feels really good for me. This doesn't feel good for me. And not me kind of like give them that pushback of like, no, it's not supposed to be that way. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So I feel like that's so common. I see it a lot. And I just wonder, why do coaches constantly give that message of like, you must execute it this way? because I've even seen, I can think of like 3 coaches off the top of my head right now. I'm not going to name drop or throw shade, but like they're constantly telling their athletes, it doesn't matter where you feel it, that sensation versus biomechanics and execution. And it just, that always irked me, but I couldn't figure out why. And so I feel like this is a really good space to like dive into that. Why do you think coaches are just so adamant about you have to do it this way? It doesn't matter how you feel.
Well, I mean, who benefits from them saying that? Like, who benefits from them saying that, like, how you feel this in your body doesn't matter? Like, they do. Like, they benefit because then they're the one with this, like, secret sauce, magic key. I have all the content, which is, like, we talked about content on the last time that I was here. It's like, it has to be polarizing because it has to be interesting. But content isn't going to, like, help you grow your glutes, to be honest, like, long term, like, get you the thing that you actually want. Like, you need to go be the woman in the arena and you need to go test it out for yourself. But if we're taking all of the confidence, all of the autonomy away from the people that are there, then, like, of course there's so much like self-doubt and everyone's trying to like fit into this little box while also saying that we're built different. Like,
super contradictory. And it's so clear to us, but why, like, I just don't see that perspective being shared a whole lot. So I guess where did you start feeling like, hey, I'm unique and everybody else is too, and we don't have to fit this mold? Like, where did that start for you?
That's like a little bit more sensitive for me because it kind of started when I took a step back from like working with a coach, because I was in that spot where it was like, I need to do it this way. I need to hit these PRs. It needs to look like this. Like, I'm being analyzed literally for my form in this very like, it's got to be this way. And then when I took that step back and it's like, well, these ways are not working for me in my body at all right now. And I had to find a different way. Like, I had to pave a different one, or it was like, don't lift anymore. Or it was like, find a new way. And it's like, I love lifting. Like, I don't want to stop because it's like, because I don't fit that mold. Like, I have a different body. Like, you have a different body. It's going to look differently. So just like being okay with, or having to let go of what I thought was right and what I was previously praised for. And like, I'm really trying to work on that with my girls right now, because it is hard. It's like, well, I'm seeing this thing and I want to help them and I want to make sure that they're getting the most out of the movements, but that also involves them. So not taking them out of the equation, but like bringing them in and really like letting them have that voice, their unique voice in training.
It's almost, it reminds me of like trying to teach somebody how to think for themselves without, I guess, without saying so much. Like, it's, I don't go to them and say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do this all for yourself. It's more guiding them along the pathway. And so it's been, for me personally, it's been a very interesting experience because I'm still unlearning things and I feel like I'm stepping through these hoops and like they're there with me.
Yeah.
So it's just been a very interesting experience for me, like the past definitely like 6 months.
Have you been like on that journey, like finding your own voice? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, definitely. I have been unlearning a lot of things. So when I thought content had to be attention grabbing, I put a lot of pressure on myself to speak really fast, to be passionate and exciting and in your face, and almost bring an energy on camera and like to my social media that wasn't necessarily me. Because a lot of feedback that I get when people meet me in person is like, you're so calm, you're so peaceful, like you give off a very grounded, calm energy. And I don't know if that always translates well on social media. So unlearning that, like, hey, I don't have to strive to be viral. I don't have to strive to catch people's attention, because those who want to work with me or who are going to be drawn to me are going to be drawn to my natural energy and not what I'm putting out. So I'm like trying to unlearn that, because still I'll pick up my phone to film a reel and I try to do it all in one take. And if anyone's tried to do that, it's really difficult when there are so many ways that you can film a reel and not do it in one take. You honestly don't have to do it and nobody will be able to tell. But that's like one of the first things that comes to mind, is like trying to literally find my footing in how I've been presenting myself on social media and like staying true to who I am instead of trying to be who somebody wants me to be.
Yeah. Because we learn it from somebody. Like, that's the point of unlearning, is that like somebody taught this to me previously and something about it doesn't fit. It's like wearing like a really tight, like scratchy sweater that you just want to take off. It's like, oh, it would feel so much better if I just did it this way, but I'm scared to do it that way. Same thing with like posing too. It's like, I feel like for posing, so many people just like want to do it like the pros. They want to do like what everyone says, like, oh, the judges don't want to see you do this, or they don't want to see you with this like suit color, or like all of these things. And I feel like now we're starting to see people like more embrace like how they want to show themselves on stage, instead of like trying to be a carbon copy where like everyone's like a blue or red suit and that's it.
Yes.
It's like, can we have more variety? Like, how do you actually want to show up on stage? How do you want to present yourself? Like, if you are showing your physique off in a way that you want other people to receive you, like, what does that authentically look like?
And not worrying about, okay, are the judges going to knock points off of me for having my hair this way or my suit this way? Because when you go on stage, if you're not presenting yourself authentically and how you want to present, it shows. Like, the confidence won't be there. They call it like the it factor. But if you don't feel like yourself on stage, you feel like you're masking or you're performing, it's going to come through and it's not going to feel right. So I've seen that a lot with posing. And I think when we were writing like outlines and notes, this actually might be kind of fun to get into, because I think with posing, you have it more flow. Like, you allow the athlete a lot more like creative expression and direction. And I actually think I might be a little bit on the more like rigid side. So I kind of want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, well, one of the things that I slightly like disagreed with you on in terms of like posing is when you're on stage going through the posing, I think in my opinion, like, this is my opinion, I think it's important to showcase your physique in the best way that's going to make you competitive. There's a better way to say that. But for example, like, some of my girls, when they're going through their posing, they might really like a specific transition or pose, like the Superwoman pose, but it doesn't fit their physique. Like, they might really like it and they might hit it really confidently, but I'm like, this is actually showcasing like weaknesses. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, I just mean in as far as the criteria. Like, maybe if you have like a really long torso and you're hitting Superman, it might actually make you look very lanky and like too skinny, or not presenting the S curve that they're looking for in bikini. And so it's been something on my mind that I've been kind of turning over, because it's like, if somebody really likes that pose, but it doesn't showcase their strengths, as their posing coach, is it my responsibility to say, hey, that doesn't showcase your strengths, like, we can't do it? Or is there wiggle room to say, okay, I know you really like it, so we'll hit it, but maybe compromise and say, like, you can hit it real quick and then move on? So what do you do in those cases? Or I guess, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I think a lot of the people that I do posing with, I tend to get, which is really funny to me actually, I tend to get women that are a little bit more robotic in general, like not in like a rude way, but they just like, you can tell that they have worked on their training and they are really good at isolating their muscles, and maybe not so much at utilizing their entire body. So it's like, my feet are doing this thing, but my hips aren't, and my shoulders don't know what they're doing, and my hands are like these little like
windshield wipers.
Yes. So it's like, I feel like I really encourage flow and like dancing before posing, like literally like throw on your favorite song, throw that ass in a circle, and like loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think I err on that side, like, get as ridiculous and like forget all of the rules as much as possible before posing, and then we can start reeling you in when you feel confident. But I feel like the biggest thing is them just having that freedom to do all of those things and get out of the headspace of like, it has to be perfect and it has to be right, because I feel like that headspace keeps them small and not showcasing their physique confidently and like the way that would suit them best. So I think like with the Superwoman pose, for example, like, that would not look good on me at all, and it also doesn't appeal to me. So I haven't been in that situation specifically, but I think like, if someone really wants to do something on stage, I'm not going to tell them no. Like, I might say like, it's not our strength, but I think the strength comes from you embodying that fully. Like, if you want to feel like Superwoman on stage, like, go get it. It's like, I'll tell you,
do the thing. Yeah,
I'll tell you, like, maybe this isn't like our most confident pose. Maybe it's like a little bit over the top, but like, is that your personality? If so, then like, go ahead, hit it, be confident doing it. Cause like, the it factor is like people not being able to take their eyes off you. Like Laura Lee, like everyone says, like, that's her thing. It's like, she's flirting with me.
Like, look at that arm wave. Yeah.
And it's like, maybe like a lot of people wouldn't like look good, quote unquote, doing that. But like, if they believe that they do and that's how they want to present themselves, like, I support that. I really do.
Yeah, so it's allowing them to showcase that confidence. If you have the confidence in that pose and you love it, then go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents, and that's probably also, like, depending on the level and the person too, it can definitely be, like, different. Like, there isn't, like, a one-size-fits-all, like, do whatever pose you want kind of thing. Like, obviously, you
Right.
can't do figure poses if you're bikini, but we can try out the sassy new transition and, like, even if it's, like, the first time we try it and it doesn't, like, quote, unquote, like, look good, like, you're gonna keep practicing it and you're gonna, like, get more into the pose and into the movement as you go. So, it's always an evolution. Like, sometimes we do transitions, we take them out, we try them now, they don't look good, we change it back, we do all these things. It's always, like, a reassessment.
Yeah. And in the theme of like today's podcast, like finding that unique voice, I think posing is a really great place to do that because it is the more creative side of bodybuilding. And in the bikini division specifically, I think it's like the area where we can really express ourselves. And maybe some of the other divisions, their posing is a little bit more rigid, and bikini does have that flexibility, I guess you could say. So
I just thought about this, but, like, do you notice with, like, posing clients, like, I'm thinking about this right now, it almost feels like people who are the most comfortable expressing themselves have the easiest time with posing, and people who have, like, more self-doubt, they really have a difficult time with it. They're like, I just really want to do it right. Like, I really want to, like, get the pose correctly, and I don't want to make a fool of myself on stage. And it's like, no, like, you're not going to.
Yeah,
no matter. Like, I
yeah.
just want people to feel confident. I think any chance that I have to, like, take some of the self-doubt away that has obviously come from, like, listening to content or podcasts that say that, like, it needs to look this way, so, like, they don't believe that, like, their way of doing it is correct. Like, I want to take out any piece of that if I can. Like, just, like, give a little bit of their power back to them.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really great observation. And I thought of an athlete immediately because I've been with her for over a year now. And when she came to me, of course, she was just starting to learn posing, but she also didn't have a lot of that confidence. And as we've grown together, I've seen her step into just new roles, like in her work, her relationships, in training, like all of these things are really coming together. That confidence is growing, and her posing has completely changed. Like, she is strutting around, like we're in our growth season, and she is just walking around in her bikini in the gym, like hitting poses. She sends me posing videos and I'm like, yes, like this is the confidence that I love to see. But just thinking back a year ago, it was like she thought it had to be right. She was very concerned about like toe angle and placement and all of these little things that, like, over time, the more you practice, they just become automatic. Like, and maybe at the beginning of your journey, if you do have a lot more of that self-doubt or just not as much self-confidence, those things seem really big. And then as you get more confident, you realize you can handle it. Like, you can learn and evolve and change and make those little changes, and it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that point. That was such a
Can we
good
shout
point.
her out? Who is she?
Yeah, Emily.
Yay!
I just posted her on my Instagram. Actually, she's one of the athletes that was so gracious enough to do the client testimonials for me. So I had 5 athletes here in Austin who like set aside their Saturday, like came and joined me. We filmed, we lifted, we posed, and then I interviewed them. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, it was Emily. She is just a bright light. She actually had her check-ins today. I was really proud.
Emily, we love and support you.
Yes.
Yay!
You're doing great. I love it.
Yeah. One other thing that came to mind when you were talking about that is, like, if we're going to find your own unique voice, like, we need to know what everyone else is doing. But I think it's like, that's a good place to start and a bad place to stop. Right. So it's like everyone's like, oh, I need to have like the same fitness brands that everyone else does to like fit in, or I need to have the Wolfpack bag or like the really cool like stack from this supplement company that everyone says gets like juicy pump so I can post it on my story and all of these things. But it's like, how much of that actually feels like you? You know, like if it does, great. Like, I'm not saying that like those are bad things, but I feel like it almost seems like everyone just is in this like, this is the space in the industry that we're in, and like this is what you do to fit in, and being kind of scared to stand out.
Right.
But whenever someone does stand out, I feel like we all kind of like breathe a little bit deeper. It's almost like a breath of fresh air. It's
yes.
like, oh, like this is really cool.
Yeah. You can go to the gym and be fit and be a bodybuilder and not have a single item of any of these popular fitness brands. Like, you just don't need it. But I do kind of wonder sometimes if that comes from the human need to like belong. Like we just so badly want that community aspect. But then like you're saying, when one of us is brave enough to stand out, all the rest of us are kind of like, okay, cool, you can do that. Like you can pose how you want to. Like Laura Lee, for example, like I feel like she's always trying new arm movements, hip sways, like little things, but they make a big difference. And then we're always like, oh, wow. Or like the pink suit that Maureen wore. All of a sudden, we can wear pink on stage.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
No, I really love it. And it's like, I really want to encourage people to like bring all of that. Because even in the gym too, like you see, or I see a lot of people that like really just want to like, again, like do the movement right. And then when you see someone like try something a little bit different, like maybe they like actually go through like a full range of motion in their lats and they're like twisting and turning, and they can tell that it's like, oh, like that looks really, really interesting. I'm curious how that feels. You know, it's like, it's bringing this like playful aspect into everything that you do. Cause it's like, it's not so serious. Like we're lifting weights, guys, gals, like we're lifting weights. We're just like building muscle and having a great time and eating some food and posing in heels for like honestly no real good reason. Like, can we just have some fun with it, please?
Yeah, bring that play aspect back in. I really like that.
Yeah.
And I wonder why there is some of that like judgment around it, because even myself, like I remember going to the gym and like if you saw somebody lifting a certain way, it was kind of like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. But maybe they do know what they're doing and they like the way that they're doing that movement. Like maybe that genuinely is the way that they want to lift.
Maybe they know what they're doing so much that they're like actually able to like listen to their own body and what's going on internally and not worry about what other people are going to say. I bet if you ask that person, they'll have a pretty good reason, to be honest. But I think the judgment piece comes from a lot of voices like that. Like whenever I notice like, oh, I shouldn't do it this way, it's usually because I heard someone else say that I shouldn't at some point on a podcast, or someone made fun of someone else for doing that, which is like you said, like the human need to like belong somewhere. And I think we need to stop that a little bit. We need to tone that down and just give people some room to express and not make it this like culty, it needs to be this way kind of thing. Like I'm kind of tired of that narrative, to be honest. It's boring me.
It's boring and it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's a great word for it. Like with the posing, what we just talked about in the training, like people get frustrated when they can't do it correctly.
Right.
Because I think that people are going to judge them. And then that leads people not trying to go on stage or not filming themselves or thinking that they can't do it. And it just breeds this self-doubt because someone just took it from them. They're like, oh, well, you were doing this thing that you thought wasn't bad at all. And now all of a sudden it is bad. And it's balancing that for the coach's aspect, because some part of us is like, okay, like some of these things might lead to injury as far as training goes, or like posing wise, like we just need to like work on your mobility. We need to make some improvements here. And at the same time, letting you still be like whole, complete, amazing as you are.
Accepting you as you are and for who you are. Like you don't have to fit into any certain mold in order to progress or be a great bodybuilder. Like you can be yourself and be a great bodybuilder and be so many other things outside of that. Like there's no, I almost feel like there's no certainty. Like you don't have to be this one certain thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
So like if you were to like get a new client right now and they were like, I don't know how to do anything right. I don't know who I am. I don't know what my unique voice is. Like, what do I do? Please help me. What would you say to them?
Oh, I would be so excited for them. I would be like, this is such an amazing opportunity to figure out exactly what it is and who it is that you want to be. Like, if you don't know, that's a beautiful place to be. And I think a lot of people think that you have to have it all figured out and you have to know and you have to have a vision and a drive and a purpose and goals all the time. And it's like, we're literally just existing on this rock that's floating in space. Like you don't have to have any of those things to still feel like satisfied with yourself. And like, I think the art of knowing yourself comes through experience. So what we've kind of been talking about is just try things. Like, don't be afraid to try new things, even if it gets you weird looks at the gym, like who cares? Or even in posing, like you want to try new movements with your shoulders. You want to pop a squat during your routine, like do a little like bend and snap, like
try
who cares? Just try it. Yeah. And really have fun with it. and just understand that the more that you try things and experience things, the closer you're going to get to figuring out, okay, this is who I am. Like, it is really tricky because you have to have such a solid sense of self. So first, I would really just encourage that you start exploring yourself, learning yourself, asking yourself questions. I think for me personally, like I get lost in asking others for their feedback. So instead of going to your friends, your family, you know, outside people, your coach, and saying like, well, how would you describe me? Like, what do you think I like? Just ask yourself those questions, and whatever the answers may be, kind of run with it. See what happens. Try new things.
I love that. And as an add-on, I feel like as coaches, like we need to like celebrate when athletes try new things, especially because like, especially if they're new working with us and like they don't know how we're going to respond to these things. And I noticed like the first couple months, they really want to please us. Like they want to make us proud. They want to be like our favorite athlete and all of these things. And I want to also do a better job at this of like really celebrating when someone tries something new or like bring something to me. Like I really want to try this thing. I know it probably isn't super like optimal or whatever else, but like I just want to try it out. Like I want to celebrate them for at least like having the guts to try it, you know? So yeah, just bringing like an air of celebration and curiosity to all of the things that we're doing. Cause I think that's when fitness gets boring. Like when we're not, like when we already know the outcome, we already know how we're going to do it every single day. We're going to have the same sensations. We're going to eat the same meals, go through posing the same way. It just really gets boring. Like bring some aliveness to what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great point. I thought of one of my athletes. Her name's Yvette, and I gave her like this program that focused on glutes. And I was like, we're going to grow your glutes. And some of the movements in there were just not hitting for her. Like she's like, it's all hamstring or it's all quad. It's not working. We tried troubleshooting some things. And then I was like, you know what glute movements work best for you? Like, what are the things that connect, fire well, feel good? Let's just get really strong at those. And it's so funny because we discovered this, but the movements that work really well for her do not work for me. And so it was almost hilarious where she was sending me videos and she's like, these step ups are like amazing. And I was just like, those step ups didn't work for me. Like I'm jealous. I'm like, that's so cool. But she sent me a message the other day, actually kind of in this tangent. She was like, thank you for allowing me to try new things and not just telling me to stick to the program. 'Cause she's like, if I hadn't had the like permission or the freedom to go try these new things, I don't think we would see the progress that we're seeing. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And I love that we had that exchange because I do feel that I hold that space for my athletes. I don't always hold it for myself. So it was really cool to see that and then reflect upon myself and say, interesting that, you know, now that I've had a new coach and a new training program, I am seeing progress much faster than I ever thought. And just allowing myself that freedom of trying different movements, different setups, different ways of doing things has really just culminated in big changes really quickly. Yeah. And for someone like as advanced as myself, I was really surprised, but it just kind of goes to show you should play in the gym. You should try new movements. You should be free to like explore the different movements and just see what works.
It literally makes my heart so happy because I feel like this is like a conversation that I actually haven't heard from other coaches in the space yet. And what you just said about like her having the permission and like all the things that worked for her maybe didn't work for you. Like that's a really important piece to recognize because like we only know the experience that we have in our bodies. Like we've seen what works for other people and still like we have never seen a body like yours. Like, yes, it's a body and like, yes, they all have like similar organs and things like that, but it's still yours and it's still completely different. And like what clicks for you might not click for like me or Noah or anything like that. So like, how are you going to know if you just like copy us or like your favorite coach or anything like that and not like try it out? So if you notice that you're frustrated with like your training or posing and all of those things, like how would you authentically do it? Like how does your body authentically want to move? What feels like the most accessible thing for you to try right now? And second thing, if y'all haven't seen Noa in person, her glutes are gluting. I am like completely shocked. Like, great job, Megan Long. Very impressed.
Yes. Shout out Megan Long. The attention to detail. We love it.
We love it.
We love it.
More of this, please, in the coaching space.
Yes, I agree. I really love this topic because, like you said, I don't feel like there's a lot of coaches who speak on this. I think a lot of coaches do tend to be more on the like controlling side, and they want everything spreadsheet data to the T, must be my way or the highway. And so I appreciate that like the both of us are recognizing the value in a little bit more freedom and allowing our athletes to find themselves, not just fit in our box. I think that's so important.
Yeah. The word that just came to mind sounds ironic, but it's like, it's humility to be able to be like, I actually don't know off the bat, off the top of my head, what's going to work for you. Like, we need to find out together. Like, I trust that I have enough knowledge that like we can troubleshoot and like we can get there together as long as we have this collaboration. But it is kind of scary to like tell a new client like, hey, like, I don't exactly know what's going to work for you right off the bat. Like, we need to find out. We're going to go on an adventure. It's literally a fitness journey for a reason.
It is. Oh, I love that. A journey.
It's a journey.
A journey, a process. I think sometimes there's expectations maybe on both ends that like one, like the athlete hiring us thinks that we know it all and that we are going to immediately be able to understand them and help them and deliver results. And on the flip side, maybe like for me, sometimes when I get a new athlete, I look at their intake form and I'm like, okay, cool. They've been in the gym for a little bit. They know. And I think just having the humility to understand we're almost at like a ground zero. We're at a starting point. I don't know you, you don't know me, but we're going to figure it out and we're going to troubleshoot. And I do have confidence that no matter what comes up, we'll figure it out. But we have to do the figuring out. We can't just place you into these parameters and say, yep, you're going to succeed the most here without trying other things.
Yeah. We can be strategic and resourceful and compassionate and curious and adventurous, and we'll get you where you want to go if you can be the same way.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't have anything else to say. I feel like this was like really good. I'm really excited. Like, this makes me really pumped for everyone that's gonna hear this and hopefully feel really empowered to just like do something different.
Yeah.
Just like try it, because who cares?
Exactly. Who cares?
Not me. I certainly don't care.
Not at all. Like, we are doing high to low cable rows. If you have seen our most recent Instagram post, I can't even show y'all what I was doing because I don't know what it was. I was trying, my body was resisting, and we troubleshooted. And it's just like, I had so much fun because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I thought I had the movement down, and then Lexa was like, yeah, your shoulder is like stuck that way and your hips don't want to move. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, that's why it feels weird, because my body's not used to this movement. But it's so fun to be able to learn all the time. Like, I think that is probably one of my favorite things on earth to do, is learn. So I really appreciate that I had you there as my training partner and that we were able to try something new. And I highly encourage everyone here listening to try something new.
Love that.
Yeah.
Tag us when you do.
Tell us about it. I would love that. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. This is the first of many. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and we will be back very soon with a lot more. If you could, it means a lot to us if you can like, share, subscribe, send to your friends. The more that we can help others, the more that I'll be able to get more of this value out to you. I'm really looking to put the podcast above what we did last year. So I have some really cool things in the works, like live events. I would love to do 2 episodes per week. And one of the ways that you guys can help me with that is by sharing, so that we can help more people reach more of the audience and whatnot. But
sharing is caring, guys. That's the...
Yes, sharing is caring. So until next time, I hope that you all have a wonderful day and stay relentless.
Bye.
Cut.